Hello and welcome back to my channel, Modelmaking Trucker. In this video we are going to continue with the Tirpitz build by Revell 1/350 scale. In this video we're going to be looking at the funnel. So I've got all the parts cut off the sprue, ready to go. Now, me being me, we're not going to leave it at that. We're going to add photo etch. So we've got all our parts cut off and everything you see in pink here needs sanding off. So I will go and do that and come back and look at installing the photo etch. So welcome back. We have got all these bits cleaned up. As you can see, we've got the middle taken out of the funnel top. We've got all the detail taken off the edges of the funnel stack itself. And we have also taken off the plastic wire that comes across there. That's everything that it's asked us to take off. So now we are going to look at putting it back in, but with photo etch. So we're going to be working on this section here, so we can move all of these bits out of the way because this is the only piece we need. I'm going to get these bits here cut off and then look at installing them. Now unfortunately, when it comes to cutting the photo etch off the actual sprue itself, I can't show it on the video because my head gets in the way. So we've got two parts of 205. Now when you cut the photo etch out, you don't want to pull it, you want to push straight down and cut through it. You don't want to be pulling the actual nub because it will bend, it won't cut through like that. And you should hear it just cut through to go with a little ping. So we then just come along with our metal file and just smooth it all out. So when you do it, you want to be careful of bits like this that are loose because they will bend. It is easy to bend these, and obviously you don't want to be doing that because it means you're having to straighten it out, which you can do, but a prevention is always better than a cure. And if you put a big crease in it, it's like anything, it will always stay there. So we've checked that they fit, and they do. They are snug, which you want them to be fairly snug because remember this is going to be held in with super glue, and they need to be touching the sides. So our next piece that we need is this piece just here. So we'll go ahead, get this cut off. Now you're best when you're doing photo etch, only cut off what you need, because if you start cutting everything off for one particular part, you then get distracted and you come back and you find your photo etch has disappeared, normally never to be seen again. So rather than cutting everything off for that one particular stage all in one go, do it a bit at a time. So we've got this bit cut off and we are going to fit it all together. So again, same as your plastic pieces, it's all about dry fitting. There we go. So we've got them three bits in. So we're going to look at the next bit, which is 105, 106 and 107. Now these are the gold bits, so I only have 1 fret of gold, so this should be fairly easy to find, he says. So there's 105, 106 and 107. So we've managed to get that bit to fit in. We've had to resort to heating it up a little and then just bending it around a bit of wire that I've got a bit of copper tubing. Now we're going to be working on these bits. Now this needs to be curved, and all I use for that is the end of your metal file and just curve it round the blade and push it all the way round, and that's how I do that, just making sure it is all curved round nicely. Now these bits will fit in one in that side, like so, and the other go in just there. Obviously when we get it glued in it will stay. So when I glue it in, I'm going to hold it all with one finger, turn it upside down and glue it from the back, just to hide as much of the super glue as you can, like so. And then we come to the really little thin parts. So 2, 3, 1, which again is a silver bit. This bit just here. So I just made that up out of the way. So that's the frame on something like that. I know that's not going to show up on camera because it is your typical stupidly small photo etch. The next bit is 208, which is this oval ring on the inside there. Right, so we've got our next piece taken off, and it will sit just around the top there. So we'll take our glue again. This time what I'm going to do, because it just runs around the top, we will put a bit of glue just on the front and the back edges around there. Take our photo etch. And place it on. And then we can come back with a bit of super glue and just run it down the sides, just to hold the sides in a bit. Like so. the next piece we need is the top framing, which we bring back our disc again. It's this bit just here. Bring our piece back. It does make a difference which way this goes on. So it wants to go on like that. So again, we'll get our super glue and take it all the way around that edge. Not being too excessive, but you don't want to be too skimpy with it, especially on this bit. And try not to stick your fingers to it. That is, I believe, the top of the funnel complete. So yes, that is that all complete. So now we move on to the next bit, which is saying this piece just here, and we need to put some railings on this. And it is the gold part 90, which is this long piece down here. So we'll go ahead and get that cut out. And there is our railing for said piece. So again, we'll just gently run the file along it. Especially with these pieces, you don't want to be too rough. You really want to hold the file really gently. So if that file sticks, rather than it pulling the actual part, it pulls it out your hand. Because if you've got hold of that railing and that file sticks or gets caught on something, and you continue to pull, it will bend the railings, and then you'll have real trouble getting it straight. So rather it pull the file out your hands then twist and bend that railing. Now what we need to do is get it to fit around here. Now there is some little marks on here. That's where the railing will be cut or bent, sorry. So the first bend go in there, and it's a 90-degree bend, so it's not too harsh, not too hard to do that one. And we come round, we need to get this curve in here. So again, what we need is something just to bend it round. Now I have some of these round knives which are pretty good for bending that. So we've marked it with all we have to do, bend it round, and you want to go a bit further than what's needed because it will spring back out, also keeping it straight. So when it does spring out, it's not too much of a problem because we're going to put some super glue on, and that will pull it in and that will hold it tight. So when we get it back on, you can see where we need to bend it back, and that, surprisingly, where they finish. So we bend it all the way back. So again, it's at 90 degrees. And we come to do this side. Now this side, we'll bend it round there, keeping it straight. But then we need to bend this side back out 90 degrees. And just here, gets bent in. Again, surprisingly, 90 degrees. So when it goes on, it should, he says, fit pretty well. So when you're doing the railing, when you're dry fitting it, you need to remember it's a long piece of railing and it's not going to hold. So by the time you get round, you start at one side, by the time you get round to the other, that first side will be off. This is going to prove me wrong. It looks a little something like that. So when we do it, we're going to do it bit by bit. So we start with the first bit, we'll put the super glue on there. We don't want to put glue around the whole lot to start because we want to be able to manipulate it as we go round. So we're just like that, glue set up. You don't want to keep straightening it and bending it, straightening it and bending it too much because it will snap. And there you have it, railing on and secure. So if you look underneath it and you see any bits where it's just not stuck tightly to it, that's an easy fix. All I do is go back to my wife's old sewing needle, and this time I'm using the point of the needle rather than the bit that's cut in half, just to poke some glue between the two parts and then hopefully just get it to hold just like so. And I believe that is that piece done, ready to be installed. So the next thing we're going to look at is these cranes that fit onto the side of the funnel. So on this we need to put a bit of railing around the edge and the cabling that comes across to it. So I have already got hopefully the super glue set up, and my 2 pieces photo etch. You're probably not going to see this very well on camera, but they are there. So the first thing we're going to put on is the railing. Now this needs to be bent, so all we do is take our tweezers and just bend it round, like so. Now there is a slight angle to this railing, so the widest part needs to be at the top, narrowest part at the bottom. So all we're going to do is take our glue, just put some on this back edge to start. Just place it on like that, and then we can come round and just put a dab of glue on either side. It looks a little like that. And then we come to do the wire. Now this piece you definitely won't be able to see on camera. You can get it. And probably just make it out. And all we need to do is hold it in our tweezers and just dab all the ends in the glue. And that's your crane. So there's 2 of them to do. I have already made up the other one. So we now go back to our instructions, and all this detailing that we took off by sanding, we're now gonna put back on with photo etch. So I will go and get the photo etch cut off, and then we'll come back and take a look. So the next bit we have to do is we've taken all this detail off the sides. We have to put it all back on with photo etch. So what we need is the base plates for these 2 bits under here. Base plate and the supports. You have to do 2 of these. I'll do one on camera, then I'll pause it, get the other one done, made up, because they're both exactly the same. There are different numbers to the parts, so I'm presuming it does make a difference on what side it goes. When it goes on, it does make a difference because one side of it is got a little curving, so that needs to go following the curve, the actual funnel. So I think for ease, what I will do is stick that base on, and then we'll put the supports on after, because I think that'll just be easier instead of holding it, making it up. These supports as well, there is one part that is slightly thinner than this part. The thinner part needs to go underneath that metal plate we've just put on. All I'm going to do is just dip them edges in the glue. And then make sure they go on straight. So it looks like that. So I'll go and get the other side done, and we'll come back and see what needs doing next. So here we have our funnel. I have gone ahead and stuck all the photo etch on around the outside of it, all the ladders, railings, rails, everything like that, because like I said at the start of the video, my head kept getting in the way. None of the plastic bits is glued down just yet. So the next bit we need to do is install this bit of deck just here. Now when we install that, we need to make sure it goes in where it's meant to. And then just to make it even more fun, we're not going to glue it in just yet, because we're going to want to try and be able to get it out, because these bits, these cranes, fit in there as well. So that is the funnel as a subsection completed. Just make sure the little cranes will turn. The only thing I've not put on is the ship's bell, which hangs just off this here. The reason being, it's already a lovely brass colour and I want to keep it that way, so when I come to paint it, I won't get any paint on it and have to repaint it or take the paint off. So that is all set up, ready to go. So next we will, in the next video, we will probably look at doing another sub-assembly. I'm not entirely sure what yet, but there's lots of little bits to make up. Like I say, you've got all the searchlights and everything and all the guns and everything to make up. So we'll look at doing something a bit like that, I think, in the next one. But thank you very much for joining me and taking your time to watch this video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time, bye.